Okay, you've talked a lot about Peter Sematimba, and I imagine he was a huge influence on you.
Yes.
Especially you moved to CBS then.
Yes.
So your time on CBS, is that when you really blew up? Would you consider
Yes,
that?
absolutely. Yes, I think it was actually a blessing in disguise. Because if he hadn't, I probably would have wanted, because I'm a very conservative kind of person, I probably would have wanted to stay in Sanyo forever.
No. Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay, considering your personality on air then, it's hard to believe.
Yes, I know. It's the opposite of who I am. Because actually, I'm the kind of person who would like to just stay home, watch TV all day if I could. Yes, and you could say I'm an introvert probably. But then CBS really helped my career go to the next level, because it's when I recorded my first single called Kiri Kiri Mabero. You've probably heard of it. And I did it in Dungeon Studios, which was Peter Sematimba's studio, free of charge. So you could say he's had a huge influence on my life. So then I was doing DJing, singing, TV as well. Sanyu Television. In Radio Sanyu, we had Sanyu Television.
Yes, so on the same building.
Yes, exactly, at the top. Yeah, so I and John Miles. Then there was another lady who we co-presented with. She did go to the US after that.
Was that Mutes?
Josephine, I think she was called.
Okay.
Yeah, she was. There's a cultural shock, of course, when you get there. Everyone's minding their own business. All of a sudden, you're a nobody. No one even turns, to have a second look at you. And here you're used to being noticed by almost each and everyone. But then, I accepted it and worked my way.
So by the time you left, you already had a plan. There was a job somewhere for you to stay.
Yes. I actually left and went with my current partner, wife.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
Actually, she was pregnant then. Our daughter was actually born there. So we'd already arranged, and we lived with her brother for a while. Somehow I felt more comfortable living with her relatives than mine. I don't know why, somehow. So we lived with her brother for about 6 months or so, then got our own place. But the job was already there. Like I said, my DJ friend called Will had opened up a nightclub. The ones who tutored me into DJing.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually the weekend I got to UK, I worked right away that very night, because we got there on a Saturday and I was working that very night.
Weren't you tired? Anyway.
Yeah, jet lag, but the
show
sportsman,
must go on.
Yes, and the sports background in me, I'm a sportsman, I'm fit. Actually, I always take jet lag to be an unnecessary excuse. I wonder why. Because in the plane you can sleep throughout, get to wherever you're going, then go about your daily business. I've never had jet lag.
Okay. All right. So you get the UK first day, you're working.
Yes.
You said she was pregnant, so you had your child.
Yes.
Your first child.
Yes.
How many?
No, that was our second.
Your second.
It's the only two we have.
You have
boy
two.
and girl.
Okay.
Yes. So then I worked in that nightclub. So of course the next thing was now try and get to work in a nightclub that's owned by whites completely. Yeah, because this one is more like a Ugandan club transplanted and put over there. So our clients were mainly Ugandans in the diaspora, Ghanaians, basically Africans. So we played more of African music. But I still wanted that challenge. I'd like to go to a nightclub, play white music. It's 90% whites in the nightclub. So I somehow maneuvered my way, being the streetwise bloke I am. So I then got to work in a nightclub. And I did quite enjoy it.
You did?
Yes. Then also got employment in a FM radio station called Clouds FM. That mainly broadcast to whites and so on. So I could say in a way my dream was fulfilled. But I did think I would become a world superstar through that, but of course it's not that simple. Yeah, so I got to a point and then started missing home again.
Okay, how long were you there?
10 years.
10 years. Okay.
So then we had an agreement with my wife. So I come back to Uganda, she stays over there
with the kids.
Yes, so she can take care of our interests there, and I ours here, because it's better that way.
She was working there as well?
Yes. She's a nurse over there. Because we had a very bad experience when you're in the UK and you like to, you know, start settling here, you like build a house, start businesses, there's usually a tendency to say send money over to people you trust, relatives or friends, to do things for you. And believe you me, that is
it
a
happened to you.
terrible.
They ate all the money.
Yes, exactly. That's what happens. The people you trust most are the ones who do that. So that's what then made us decide, you know, at least if I'm this way, obviously if she sent money and, you know, I'll take good care of it, yes, and also the one I'm making here and so on. So that's practically what probably convinced me to come back. And, you know, Uganda then completely changed, you know, the digital age and so on. FM radio stations mushroomed, musicians then all of a sudden started mushrooming all over the place. So I said, wow, this is not the Uganda I knew before.
Yeah.
So I somehow there was wanting to come back and, you know, be part of that part of the cake and so on and so forth. So there's lots of
missing it.
Yes, exactly, because then you could then read newspapers online, which wasn't the case then. So wow, I kept following you know, trends back home, and I felt it was now time to come back home and, on the one hand, implement the things that learned in the Western world in terms of entertainment, groom new talent, pass over, you know, the information I have and the things I've learned over the years. And then just have fun, basically.
So when you came back, did you find a soft landing? Did you find a job opportunity when you came back?
Yes, they were there. Actually, you've probably forgotten this.
We did a voice test together.
Yes. And I was supposed to start working Sanyu FM, I think the next week or so, but somehow, you know, there was some interventions left and right. Okay, to be honest, Peter Sebatimba said, Rasta Robems, you can't come back and not come and work in Super FM. I mean, and we have already touched the influence he had over me and so on. But then there was also that Sanyu was the first FM radio station I ever worked in. So I felt an attachment, an obligation to go back and work in Sanyu. Although then it had become Sanyu FM.
Yeah.
But then also here's Peter Sebatimba, who's had a huge influence on my life, given me job opportunities. It was one of the biggest dilemmas I've had in my life. So, but then, you know, once somebody who's played a huge role in your life says, I mean, come over, there's a place available for you, it was hard to say no. Yeah, so I then went to Super FM.
Okay.
That was 2008, I believe. Yeah, I worked there till 2016. So I'm now into my own...
That's 8 years.
Yes. So I'm now into my own things. I do sports tourism, I do DJing still, but I now do mobile DJing mainly.
Oh, okay.
It took a while to pick up things like the speed I had, of course, had suddenly slowed down a bit. But then with the recordings and so on and so forth, you know where to adjust, what kind of jokes to tell. You avoid the risk of, you know, trying to be funny and yet you're being too stale. The way of telling jokes have changed. We now have stand-up comedians and so on and so forth. So you've got to, there's a lot to live up to somewhat. So I was
You
there.
have to reinvent yourself, actually.
Yes, yeah, that's the word, actually.
I think for anyone to stay
relevant,
in entertainment and relevant, you have to keep finding ways to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was, I didn't believe in that at first because I can be quite stubborn at first, but then reality kicks in at times. Then you're forced into shape.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this time you're at CBS. You said your partner, is she still in the UK or she's back?
No, she's still in England.
Okay.
Our daughter our daughter joins university next year. So once our daughter is in university, we think she'll be old enough to take care of herself.
Okay.
Because our son is here.
Okay.
Then she'll come over more regularly. We could actually almost semi-permanently or even permanently. It's our daughter to come visit us.
So do you go there?
Yeah, I go there and she comes over.
sometimes. I mean, that's a long time to be together.
I know.
Long distance relationship.
Not
You have
easy.
seen how relationships fall apart all around
Yes.
you, I'm sure. How have you managed to stay together this long?
I think
How
because
did you meet? Let's first actually, how did you meet?
we met during a motor rally, because I'm a crazy fanatic about motor rallying, and so was she, and I think we've lasted that long because we felt genuinely in love and took our time, dated before sleeping with each other. So it was real absolute love, nothing rushed and forced.
Okay.
Yes, and we complement each other so much in a strange kind of way, because I'm quiet and conservative and she's so talkative, chatty. She loves people. She's got lots of friends. I like staying, alone. Even when I'm at home, I could stay either in my study room or in the bedroom watching TV there, and she's with lots of people in the living room, laughing off their heads and so on. So I guess what people say about opposites attract being true. So I found the perfect match, somebody who understands me, knows how to, calm me down when I'm, in a bad mood, and vice versa.
But I mean, you've been apart for a long time.
I know.
How have you done that? Is it
It's just trusting.
communication? Do you call each other?
Yes.
Do you have plans? Or you check in all the time?
Not necessarily. We probably even talk just, actually, let's say on phone 3 times a week maximum. But the rest you could just text each other and so on. For this, I think it's trust, knowing you have somebody you trust.
Okay.
Yes.
And you said you have just 2 children.
Yes.
You talked about your dad had 2 wives, and things happen sometimes.
Yes.
That also just speaks a lot about what your discipline was it, or
Yes, it's the discipline.
you had a vision for your family.
Yes, for my family. And then my wife is also too understanding, to the point she says, honey, I know once in a while you could get tempted and probably have an affair or here or there. I know it's not right, but I will understand if it happens, as long as you don't kick me out. How many wives say that to their husbands? So that's what I'm talking about. We know each other so much, and some of the things we let each other do could be felt as ridiculous in other circles. So
Wow.
I don't want to go further than that.
Okay.
But it takes absolute trust for that to happen. Yes, and friendship. You've got to be very good friends.
So you said you dated for a long time, even before you got intimate.
Yes. But 5 years or so.
Oh, okay. That's 5 years, a long time.
Yes.
Okay.
So
she was a friend first, or?
No. We just met in motor rallying. There are lots of crowds, so there are always those periods in between when a car passes by, because you've got to go and follow the cars deep into the roads, villages, wherever they go. So there's always lots of time to chat in between. So suddenly I noticed this lady who's so talkative, jolly, and has got very lively stories to tell. So you also chip in a comment or two, even though you don't know the person, and then they return your joke and so on and so forth. So before you realize it, you exchange numbers and so on. The next time you meet again in another rally and so on, before you realize it, you're asking somebody out. Oh, what do you do when you're not watching rallying? Oh, I do this and this. Could we meet over a cup of tea? Because I don't drink, smoke.
You've never.
Oh, yeah. So of course, once you get somebody's telephone number and meet, the rest is usually history, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Yes.
So when you came back, you got back on radio. You went back to, again, DJing as well. Your time in Angenois also really, really shaped.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you talked about soul disco, but then also I think you're one of the biggest DJs.
Yes.
In Angenois back in the day.
Yes, because Charlie Lubega owned both the mobile disco and yes. And then when I came back, of course, again he asked me over to come over and make appearances for all these nights, especially. Yes, which happens once a month, because that's one of the things I really wanted to specialize into, to be one of the best oldies music DJs. Of course, I do play current stuff as well. Yes, because if somebody comes over and books you for a function, it's a wedding, you expect all types of of people to attend, the G generation, the older generation, the younger ones. So I also did Oldies Night on in Governor for quite a while. On
Did
and
you
off.
ever try to crack TV again?
Yes, actually, the few concepts I'm working on, which I've taken around, and one or two radio TV stations seem to be impressed by it. So don't be surprised if you see me on TV by mid this year.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, that's pretty
Because
exciting.
TV is my other passion, and I've left radio now, so I look at it as my next, challenge. And yes,
Why did you decide to leave radio?
I think I'd just done it
After
long
the 8
enough.
years. I mean, if I remember, there was some talk then. Okay, please correct me if I'm wrong. And that's the thing about the world we live in with tabloids and stories.
Yes.
Something about you. Did you quit on air?
Yes.
Is that true? Not true?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
Hey. Aish.
I know it's probably takes guts, but I just wasn't happy about so many things happening around
Was
me.
there something that triggered? Was that like the last straw? Final straw?
Yeah, sort of, but I really wouldn't want to go too much into it. Yes.
Okay.
But it's just when suddenly you're not motivated enough to go on air, you're not happy, and maybe you feel you're not being appreciated enough, and so on and so forth. But then you try and persevere and say, this is what I've done always. It's more about my passion really than anything else. But in the end...
Was it an emotional time for you?
Yes, quite, but not too much again. Because I have other things I was doing on the side, like I told you, DJing and so on.
So you felt like you were being, torn in different places
Yes,
as well?
yes, that's true. But because my first love will always be club DJing and so on, so I knew I can always concentrate on that and then work on TV, like I've told you.
Okay. In this space, this entertainment space, when you look back, what was your biggest challenge at some point in your career?
Biggest challenge, probably being respected, because there was always that notion of a DJ is a muyaye, a Rasta man is a cannabis smoker, njaga, so on and so forth. So having people appreciate you and accept that, this is a career that, because for example, by the way, in the Western world, DJs are the most highly paid. Yes, you could get £30,000 for a gig. That's more than 100 million here.
More than 100 million. I think
Yes.
almost 150 million.
Yes, exactly. So probably that was one of my biggest challenges. Then, but of course, with time, as we westernize and grow, I think now people do accept that a DJ is a person that can be respected in society and somebody exemplarily. I think. And then also exploitation, perhaps. In Uganda, you don't get what you deserve. That is, I'm sure it's even up to date. Somebody thinks they're doing you a favor by employing you, and, you should accept whatever
they're offering.
Yes, exactly. Some people even expect you to come and do things free of free. Says, hey, I've got a birthday bash. Could you please come round and play? So then you're waiting for them to ask, how much will it cost? Then you get another phone call, ngate mwaze, and things like that. But I mean, this is a career. I'm supposed to earn a living.